Have you ever wondered how a single event could change the course of the world forever? Picture World War II, a cataclysm that swept across the globe, involving more than 30 nations and resulting in over 70 million fatalities. It was more than a war, it was a seismic shift that reshaped the world order, leaving an indelible mark on history. The echoes of this colossal conflict are still felt today in every corner of our world. World War II was indeed a global conflict, but how did it all start? The seeds of this war were sown at the end of the First World War. The Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, was meant to ensure lasting peace. Instead, it planted the bitter seeds of resentment, particularly in Germany, burdened with war reparations and territorial losses. Fast forward 2 decades and we see the rise of Adolf Hitler, who harnessed this simmering resentment. Hitler's aggressive expansionist policies led to the invasion of Poland in 1939, a blatant act of aggression that finally triggered the war. Among the key players, Germany, the USSR, and Japan formed the Axis powers, while France, the UK, and later the USA joined forces as the Allies. Each side was convinced of its cause. Each side was determined to win, regardless of the cost. In time, what began as a regional conflict escalated, with nations from around the globe being drawn into the fray. In just a few years, this European conflict had turned into a full-blown world war. The war raged on, devastating countries and affecting millions of lives. Pearl Harbor, a day that will live in infamy, jolted the United States into the conflict, marking a significant shift in the power dynamics of the war. As the Eastern Front froze over, the Battle of Stalingrad stood as a brutal testament to the human cost of war. It was a turning point, where the relentless Soviet resistance began to push back against the Axis advance, chipping away at the seemingly invincible German war machine. Then came D-Day, the largest seaborne invasion in history. The beaches of Normandy were transformed into a theater of war, as the Allies embarked on the monumental task of liberating Europe. This marked another major pivot, signaling the beginning of the end for the Axis powers. But the war was far from over. As the Allies closed in, a new weapon emerged from the shadows, one that would forever change the face of warfare. The atomic bombs dropped on Hiroshima and Nagasaki ushered in the nuclear age, bringing the war to a swift and devastating end, but at a staggering human cost. These significant events, these turning points, reshaped the course of the war, shifting alliances and power dynamics. They marked the beginning of a new world order and the end of an era. The war had changed the world in ways no one could have predicted. When the guns fell silent, a new world order had emerged. The smoky specter of World War II was a catalyst for profound global change. The war, in its devastating wake, birthed a collective yearning for peace, leading to the establishment of the United Nations in 1945. This international organization, with its ambitious goal of preventing future global conflicts, became a beacon of hope for a world weary of war. But the war's end was not an immediate segue into peace. The dismantling of colonial empires accelerated, as war-torn European powers could no longer maintain their overseas dominions. This decolonization gave rise to new nations, forever altering the geopolitical map. Meanwhile, the ashes of the conflict kindled the Cold War, a tense ideological standoff between the democratic West and the communist East. This period, characterized by a race for nuclear supremacy and proxy wars, further shaped global politics and economies for decades to come. The societal impact of World War II was equally profound. It sparked transformations in gender roles, as women had stepped into the workforce in unprecedented numbers during the war. It also spurred advancements in technology and medicine born out of wartime necessity. From the rubble of World War II rose a world forever marked by its scars, but also determined to learn from its past. World War II was a watershed moment in history, setting the stage for the world as we know it today. So how did a single event shape the world so profoundly? It started with the outbreak of war, a ripple that turned into a wave sweeping across continents, forever altering the course of history. The tide turned, shifting power balances, birthing new alliances, and shaping geopolitical landscapes. The aftermath revealed the true global reach of the war, with its lasting impact seen in every corner of the globe. World War II was more than a historical event, it was a turning point that continues to influence our world today.